Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ken Kilbride and I'm the Chief Executive of HAD ADHD Ireland. HAD ADHD Ireland is a small charity based here in Ireland, and our mission is to advocate and support for people with ADHD. HAD was founded back in 1980, which is one of the reasons why it's called HAD and not ADHD, because we didn't know where to put the H back in 1980. So again, it was founded on a kitchen table by a range of volunteers. What has happened over the years, it's grown. They've got to the stage now that we now employ 3 people, myself being one of them. We're obviously looking to grow the organisation over the next couple of years, so we can deliver more and more supports to people with ADHD. We find for ourselves that there is greater number of calls coming through. We're getting more interest on social media, and we're getting more interest on our website. What we want to do simply is to improve the lives of people with ADHD. I was elected to the board of ADHD Europe last year, and through that obviously I've been keeping an eye on what is happening on the pan-European stage and not just here in Ireland. So when I would have heard about the COCO project last January, I have to say about 2 minutes after reading what it was about, I was on the phone when I heard you guys were coming here for the General Assembly here in Dublin. While ADHD is one of the most researched issues, there is still a lot to be found. There's a lot of gaps out there, and one of the issues that this project is looking at around comorbidities, and we find that ourselves in terms of dealing with people, that those 70 to 80 people while they have at least one condition, what they say is 10 to 15% of 3 conditions. How those people are helped and supported through their lives, from their education and into their workplace, needs to be developed and defined. There is loads more that still needs to be done. The changing levels of how it gets diagnosed, what then becomes more critical at different ages. Bringing that research to the people is obviously very important. It's great doing academic reports. I generally only read the abstracts myself. But there's an awful lot of work being done out there. But it has to have a practical application, and it has to be of use to people at the end of the day. We've got great support from the COCO project once we started talking to them. I have to say, one of our big issues is adults and ADHD. So the COCO project's been very good to us, and they've made some speakers available to us. And we have a sold-out 300-seat venue in Trinity College. And we've had 400 people inquire. We're going to webcast it such as the interest. So it's a practical application of using a research project to engage with people to get that information out and create that link. So we're happy to do it. We're very appreciative of the support that we've got from the COCO project. And again, we look forward to seeing their results when they finally get published. The largest category of calls we get to that support line, and that's 25% of all our calls, is adults ringing in to find out how to get a diagnosis. So in Ireland, taking the prevalence rate of 5%, there's about 170,000 adults in Ireland. And that would mean there's about 60,000 children that have ADHD. In talking to leading researchers, the figure we can best come up with is that while children are being picked up far higher rates than they were previously, it's still only about 30 to 50%. Nobody knows the figures for undiagnosed adults out there. And I'm going to guess that it's far higher than the 30–50% for children currently. Because simply, when children were my age when they went to school, they were the messers in the class, the doshers down the back, the class clown, and the hyperactive child who's just told to stay quiet. So there's 150,000 adults out there who've lived with this condition. They found some way of supporting themselves, some have, some haven't. And so the ability to increase the awareness of ADHD, particularly among adults, is now an issue that we would like to see highlighted. Another issue then is going back to children in the classroom. And as we were saying, they are being picked up at a higher rate. Currently in Ireland, children in the age range 8, 9, 10 is where we're seeing the highest age rates for getting that diagnosis. But the other thing that we're finding is that there is a deficit there in training and information on how to help and support children with ADHD. So for example, next month in Ireland we're bringing over one of the leading experts from the UK and we're doing a teacher training event. So that's an area that we see that we would like to get into in the coming years. And finally, neurodiversity in the workplace. In Ireland, about 10% of the population would be neurodiverse. Companies are now finding that they help and support these people, but there is an advantage to them in doing it. There's no saying, you got to think outside the box. But to think outside the box, you need people who are actually outside the box already, and they're the people that are neurodiverse. There's an old saying that Silicon Valley runs on Asperger's. So companies are coming to us and saying, look, we have this workforce. How can we help and support those people to maximise their ability, which obviously in the long run helps the company as well. So again, we've been approached by some large American multinationals, some large PLCs here in Ireland to develop neurodiverse programs. So the three big issues that we see coming up and we would like to see addressed: developing a comprehensive structure to address the issue of undiagnosed ADHD in adults, the ability to support children in the classroom, because that's the first place that they get diagnosed, and if they get the supports then at that age, well then we all know that through the research that the prognosis for them going through into later life is much better. And then it's to help and support people with neurodiverse conditions in the workforce. And if we think as an organisation, if we can help sort those three issues over the next 5 to 10 years, we can say we've done a good job. That's been my pleasure.